Hello, it's the Imperfect Gardener here. I want to talk about water, enough water for your plants. You know what? I think it really varies from state to state and from climate to climate, in other words, on how you need to water your stuff. I have noticed that in Michigan, my stuff does great when I give it lots of water. I do give it lots of water. Now, I used to water in the evenings. I did it that way for 6, 7 years, just water in the evenings, because I thought in my head, the more water on the plants, then the sun's not going to make it go away, right? I thought if you water in the morning, the sun's going to take all the water away, evaporating, and your plants won't get enough water. Well, no, because now I've learned, of course, that part of the reason I had so much of that disease, or possible reason I had so much disease that would grow on my tomatoes, the leafy stuff that would get on there, is from watering them at night and letting that water sit on there overnight. So I'm watering in the morning now as much as possible. I still do overhead watering. Some people like to take, these little things that can go down and just water at ground level. I just haven't had the time or the energy or the whatever to figure that out. I have a big garden. So just turning on a sprinkler right now is my best solution, and it's what I do. I have taken my tomato plants up higher this year, get the leaves off the ground to try and stop from that splashback. I've got one row over there that I put some mulch around to see if that will help keep the dirt from splashing up onto the tomato plants. But even that, it took like 3 bags of mulch just to do one row. And I don't want to spend all that money on my whole gardening thing because I have a beautiful garden and I'm getting food out of it. So what else can I ask for? I don't want to spend a ton of money on it. Kind of defeats part of the purpose, which is to save money by growing your own food. The other part is just because it's fun, right? We love gardening. Woohoo! I do want to tell you one little tip about watering. I do water every day or every other day, depending on the weather. If it's been really, really hot, when it gets into the 80s and tons of sun on them all day, I do water every day. I do have raised beds, as you can see, which keeps the water, I know I'm not going to overwater them because they're in these raised up rows that I pull up. It's not really a raised bed like some people call it, but they're raised up rows. That keeps them from getting too soggy. However, it also means they have to be watered a lot because they're not sitting in water. So one of the things you have to be careful of is it might rain and you might think, oh, yay, it rained today, I don't need to water. Well, I'll tell you, you got to really check on that because yesterday was Sunday. We had several downpours of rain where it just downpoured. When I was in church, rain poured down. And I came out and I thought, oh, great, it looks like it rained. Good, I'm good. Nay, you kind of have to check. It actually downpoured for only about 5 minutes. And I didn't know how long it had done it because I was in a building. So it downpoured for about 5 minutes. Later in the day, it downpoured again for about maybe 10 minutes. A big, powerful downpour of rain. But you still have to check on your stuff. So I came out here today thinking, well, they made it yesterday without being watered. They're fine. But it rained really hard. So I don't need to probably turn my hose on today, right? Because it rained so much yesterday. Well, and if I come out here, I can even see in my low spots, down here, there's damp spots where I can see that it's damp on the ground. And I would think, okay, they got plenty of water. But you know what? They didn't. Those are my low-lying areas. If I check in among my plants and I I tested by trying to pull some weeds out, you just come up here. If you don't have any weeds, you just test by touching your plants and stuff. Touching the dirt, I mean. But see, trying to pull these out, I can see, look at how that's breaking. It's very, very dry still. Look at that dirt. That's very dry. So, yes, I do need to water. Just because you get a downpour doesn't mean that your plant's got enough water. Downpour isn't much. And I have a lot of plants out here. Look at them all. Woo-hoo, it's very exciting. I have a lot of plants. They're going to need a lot of water. So I have turned on my sprinkler this morning. It's probably, 8:30 or 9, probably 9 o'clock now. I just turned it on. I'm going to let it go on this half of the garden, probably for 45 minutes or so, just really get a good soaking. Then I will bring it down here. I don't have a system in that I don't have to move around. I have a hose, goes from the house over there. Bring the hose over and sprinkle, and then I'm going to pull it down here and sprinkle the other half of the garden. I can usually get the whole garden in two, in one move it there and then move it down here. and sprinkle down here. It's a little harder though. I did add some corn and stuff on the end this year that I didn't used to have. So I kind of need to, I might have to do 2 each time. Some days I do 3. I just said I have to do 2. Some days I have to do 3 moves. So it'll be in one spot and then the next spot and the next spot in order to make sure I get everything in all the corners and all the way along the back where my peas are growing. Because otherwise, you know, you miss something around the edges. You don't want to miss things when you're watering. So I do water a lot. Yes, it helps the weeds grow as well, but I don't care. My plants need lots of water. The other thing I found is when you're not weeding perfectly, like me, if you're not weeding perfectly, you need a lot of water also for that reason, because your weeds are using some of the water out of the ground. If you get more water in there, then your plants can still find enough water even among the weeds. So look at this row though. I gotta show you. Look at those green beans and see how nice all the weeds have been pulled out around that. That's my son. He came out here and weeded all these, and man, when he weeds, he goes crazy. He does a really good job. So he's going to help me this week get caught up on some of this other weeding that needs done. Nonetheless, weeds and all, these things are growing nicely. So just make sure you get enough water on your stuff. Man, they need a lot of water. That corn needs a lot of water. The cucumbers and zucchini, they're growing like wild right now. They have got to have tons of water. So make sure you water everything. And I'm doing it in the morning this year. After I water, move that sprinkler down, then I'll be able to go in here and pull some weeds out. They say don't mess with your green beans when they're wet. So I'll wait on the green beans a little bit. But within another hour, those leaves will be dried up. It doesn't take more than an hour when it's a nice day out for the wetness on the leaves to just dry up, and then the ground will still be damp enough to pull the weeds. And the plants will be happy. So do make sure that you get enough water. Don't let a little rain fool you. It has to be a lot of rain in order for it to really work. One of the other things that I have also done with that rain and checking to get enough rain is to look at my flowers. So here's my flower over here. If that flower pot doesn't feel completely full, I didn't get enough rain and I need to water things, which I did. I watered that this morning. So if it didn't get enough water, neither did my garden. So there it is. Water your stuff good. Have fun gardening.